Hi, and welcome to today's 4-Minute Mark. We are at the place in Mark chapter 11 where Jesus cleanses the temple, verses 15 through 19. I'm not going to read it again today because I read it yesterday. Jesus enters the temple and drives out those who are buying and selling. What often happened back then in the temple was that they would sell animals that could be used for sacrifices and offerings. Particularly, they would sell these to poor people, and they would jack up the price so they could make a little profit. There was also something in the temple called money changers. What this was that your money wasn't really good in the temple. The temple had its own monetary system, and so you had to get your money changed into temple money before you would offer it to the Lord. And of course, the money changers took a little bit on the side for themselves. So they would say, your $1 is only worth 75 cents, so we'll give you 75 cents. And they kept 25 for themselves. So they turned the temple into a profit-making organization. And this is what Jesus is against. And this is why he is overturning the tables of the money changers and the benches of those who sold doves. And he wouldn't allow any merchandise to be carried out there. And he said, my house will be called a house of prayer for the nations. And notice that Jesus says for the nations, and he's quoting an Old Testament verse there. The temple was not just for the Jews. The gospel is not just for the Jews. God's plan doesn't only involve the Jews, but it reaches out to the nations. And Jesus is saying the temple is supposed to be a place that would draw the nations to God. And instead, you have made it basically a den of thieves. You've turned this into a money-making proposition. And Christian organizations, Christian churches today have to be careful that they are using money for ministry, to keep ministry going, to keep the nations being drawn to God, to keep the nations in prayer, and they are not turning this into a money-making organization, a profit organization. And I won't say any more than that. I mean, you can watch some of these guys on TV and you can ask yourself, are they a house of prayer for the nations, or are they a den of thieves? Yeah, that's all I'll say for there. So the chief priests and teachers of the law heard Jesus say this, and they started looking for a way to kill him. And why? It says here, because they feared him, because many of the people loved his teaching. They feared Jesus because Jesus threatened their power. Jesus threatened their hold on the people. Jesus threatened their status because, hey, chief priests and teachers of the law and the Sadducees and the Pharisees, they were the ones in Jerusalem who were looked upon as spiritual leaders, who were held up there, put up on the pedestal. And now, here comes Jesus, and the people think he's the Messiah. Well, that beats being a Pharisee or a Sadducee by a long ways. So they fear him. They're going to be off their pedestals. Maybe they'll be out of their jobs. And it's interesting that the religious leaders fear the fact that the Messiah has come. I mean, isn't this what they longed for? Isn't this what they taught about? Isn't this what they prayed God would send, the Messiah? Yeah, but he's threatening them personally. And so God's plan goes out the door because what's important is me. And that was one of their sins. Okay, that's it for today. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.